Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I kind of want to talk about Square Enix. Yeah, let's make this a Square Enix thing, right? Or video games, if we want. We'll decide how I edit it. It's live, baby. It's live. That's it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. I'm messing. But anyway, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I think Square Enix needs to go back to final mixes. Yes, yes, yes. I know what you guys are saying. Final mix. Well, if you guys don't know, growing up, there was something that Square Enix. I don't know if it was just a Square Enix thing. I just know it was a lot of Square Enix games that we used to do it, and they would do Final Mix games. Now, Final Mix games are re-release games that added extra content that wasn't on the game. So whatever was available on the game when it was first released, that was it, right? Now, after that, they will re-release the games and they will do greatest hits collections, and then after that, they would do game of the year collections, and then after that, we would get the final mix version. Now, final mix would add scenes and cut content that wasn't there or they didn't have time to put into the game. So basically, like what DLC is today. But the reason why I want them to go back to final mix games is because I don't want them to do that downloadable content no more. Because honestly, Square Enix downloadable content stuff is lackluster. To be honest, like Kingdom Hearts 3's stuff was kind of lackluster. Final Fantasy Sevens kind of lackluster. Rebirth ain't got none at all, and the Royal Edition of Final Fantasy 15, yeah, that's great and all, but clearly what they should have just did, they should have did a Final Fantasy 15 final mix where all of the cut content is included into the game. That's what I want. I want some of these companies to go back to. Just in general, go back to a final mix version. No, not downloadable content, but re-release the game, but have everything in it. The cut content, the stuff that you missed out, that you know what I'm saying. Like you can still do downloadable content for the first game or whatever. But what I'm talking about stuff that y'all wanted to put that was supposed to be major parts of the story that you didn't get a chance to add. But then you finally got to do it with this version of the game because now that the game's out, we already know it's already successful. We already done added the downloadable content. But there is cut content from the game that we had to remove or whatever, or scenes that we had to remove. But let's put them back in there. You get what I'm saying? You get what I mean? That way we can get the full extent of the story without y'all having to be like, okay, we gotta rush it. Because I feel like that's what makes some of these development cycles a little bit because everybody be trying to stuff so much content, but sometimes don't have to. You don't have to stuff content. You don't have to do downloadable content or anything. What you should do is literally do a final mix because I was reading the stuff for Final Fantasy 15 Final Mix, and then of course you got Final Fantasy 7 Ever Crisis that is adding content to the game to Final Fantasy 7 and Rebirth that's not even in the game itself. And I'm like, damn, y'all could just do a final mix version of the game, not downloadable content. I don't want downloadable content. I don't want to download it. I don't want none of that. What I want is I want a copy of the game that already has all of that included onto the disc itself. Does that make sense? That's what I want y'all to go back to doing because I think that would be a little bit more successful. That way we can still get a whole bunch of games coming out. But if there's some content that was missed out or something that you had to cut out, okay, bam, we're gonna do a final mix. So that way people don't have to worry about downloadable content or whatever. Adding more memory holds, it's already on that disc, or it's already in that game without all of the nonsense. Does that make sense? Because I think that would work so much, especially you hear about a lot of these Final Fantasy games or just Square Enix games in general, and you'll hear about all the stuff that they had to cut out, right? And then they just kind of like never came back. Not, especially since we're in a world of downloadable content, if you're not even going to go back and put that as downloadable content, you might as well go ahead and do the game again and just do it as a final mix. I think the final mixes of games would be a better thing because then it's just like even if y'all didn't add everything in there, and even though you do have downloadable content or whatever, if there was some cut content that y'all literally just didn't have time to do, or it wasn't finished, or it had to be scrapped for time or whatever, bam, the final mix is right there. The final mix is right there to be like, okay, great, we got you. We got you. So we're gonna re-release Final Fantasy VII remake, right? Everything is included now. So the downloadable content with Yuffie is already in there with Integrate, right? But we're also gonna add the cut content that we weren't able to do because we missed some stuff. And then we're gonna add the stuff that from Ever Crisis or something like that and put that into the game because we wasn't able to do it, even though we wanted to do it, we just didn't have time to do it. And then bam, you get what I'm saying? Because I would prefer that. I wouldn't mind buying final mix versions of games than adding downloadable content to my collection. You get what I'm saying? I'd rather go with that one because at least I know I'm getting more content. Kind of like when Pokemon released their third version of a game. You got Pokemon Gold and Silver. Okay, great. Then you got Crystal, which is the third version, which combines both of the stuff that Pokemon Gold had and Pokemon Silver had, but put into Crystal, but also add the cut content that they weren't able to add for Pokemon Silver and Gold, while also adding new stuff that they were able to do just for that game. You get what I mean? That's what I mean. I kind of want to go back to that over just downloadable content, or for instance, y'all have the cut content, but y'all don't even put it in downloadable content. It's just canceled. We never do anything with it, but there are files that still have it. You get what I'm saying? And then when people are sometimes modding the game and seeing stuff, they see all of this stuff that was left out, and I'm just like, just go ahead and do a final mix. Do a final mix. It makes the most logical sense when you really think about it. Studio wise, business wise, creativity wise. So that way you won't have to spend so much time on production, but then at the same time, like okay, we get good meaty content already with the original game, and then if you want to add a little extra with downloadable content, that's fine. But then a lot of the major meat that you had to cut off that you wanted to add into the story, okay, that's fine. That's fine, right? Cut that shit out and then later on re-release it as a final mix. Maybe 2 to 5 years down the road, we're developing the final mix version of Kingdom Hearts 3. So now we're gonna add this stuff that we cut out of the game because we know again when people are modding the game, we know that there's a lot of content that was cut and we're not even talking about downloadable content. We're just talking about content in general that was cut that you could easily put back into the game. Just do the final mixes. That's all I'm saying. You know, I know this is like a little quick video talking about final mixes, but I just thought that it would be really interesting to have a discussion about. What do you guys think? Are you guys interested in video games going back to final mixes where even though they have a lot of content that they had to cut, instead of forgetting it and refusing to do downloadable content, just re-release the game with the content? Like especially what game could really use a final mix? Resident Evil 3 remake. Yes, the one with Jill, because everybody wants that game to be re-released with all of the content that was missing from the original game. You get what I'm saying? So the original Resident Evil 3 game, the content that was missing, add that content back into the remake one and add new scenes or whatever, and then bam, people I'm telling you, people would buy it. You don't even have to don't do downloadable content. Just re-release it as a final mix, and then bam, here's the definitive version of this game. Where here's all the content we didn't have time to do, and now that we're not under a strain of rush or whatever, bam. That way you can still make money off of that same game twice. Because trust me, I did buy the extra versions of games a lot of times. I'm not even gonna sit up here and lie and say I didn't. I did. I did. I brought the original version of a game, and then when there was a when there was a final mix version of a game or a third version of the game that had all of the content from the other games put into one, oh yeah, I brought it, and I'm not gonna sit up here and lie and say I didn't. It is what it is. But you guys tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.